All right, let's get right into it. Today, we are going to break down one of the biggest myths in all of Web3, how you actually grow a community. So many projects think the secret is just a bigger ad budget, but the blueprint we're about to walk through shows that real, lasting growth isn't something you buy. It's something you have to architect, piece by piece. This really gets to the core of it all. You got to think of ads like a megaphone. A megaphone is awesome if you've got something important and clear to say, but it's totally useless if you're just whispering or, not saying anything at all. In Web3, your message is your structure, your story, your actual value. Ads can't just invent that out of thin air for you. And this is the huge mental shift we're talking about. The old way, the trap that so many projects fall into, is thinking you can just pour money in one end and get members out the other. But the new way, the way the top projects are actually doing it, is to see growth as the result of a really well-designed system. It's about building an engine, not just constantly buying more fuel. Okay, so that brings us to our first big idea, the Web3 growth myth. We're going to totally unpack this assumption that you can pay your way to a community that's actually alive and kicking. And we're going to see why, for most projects, that's just a fast track to failure. So let's just put it right out there. This is the central argument. If you want to build a community of 10,000 engaged members, you don't start by calling up an ad agency. You start with a plan, a solid foundation, an intentional structure. And that is the blueprint we're about to get into. But, before we can talk about how to build it right, we really need to understand why so many of these things just crumble. So let's look at the most common ways this goes wrong, because honestly, seeing the pitfalls is the absolute first step to avoiding them yourself. We've all seen the signs, right? A project brags about their huge Telegram count, but the chat is just a ghost town, or a Discord server that's nothing but a sea of win airdrop and GM. These are the classic symptoms of a community built on sand. They're buying fake engagement, they're only attracting mercenaries hunting for the next airdrop, and, this is the big one, they have zero plan for how to keep people around. So people show up for the freebie and they are gone the second they get it. But look, among all these problems, there is one that is just way more damaging than all the others combined. A single mistake that pretty much guarantees all your growth will be hollow. What do you think it is? And there it is, scaling before you know who you are. Seriously, if your first 100 members can't clearly explain what your project is for and why anyone should care, then bringing in 10,000 more people just creates more confusion. It's not growth, it's just noise. It's like throwing a massive party, but you forgot to figure out what the party is even for. Okay, so we've looked at the problem from all sides. Now, let's get to the good stuff, the solution. This is the step-by-step framework for building that strong foundation we've been talking about. This is the organic growth blueprint. Step 1. And you have to do this before you invite a single soul into your Discord. You have to answer some basic questions, but with absolute clarity. Who is this for? What specific problem are you solving for them? And why on earth should they care right now, way before there's even a token? Your narrative is your bouncer. It lets the right people in and politely shows everyone else the door. I know, it is so tempting to chase those big flashy numbers, but every single massive community you see today started small. The key is to first build an inner circle, a private group of maybe 100 true believers. Give them backstage access, listen to their ideas, make them feel like co-founders. These first 100 people, they're not your first users, they're your co-builders. They're your multipliers. Okay, this next one completely reframes the whole idea of invites. Forget those spammy invite 5 friends to get whitelisted campaigns. That just gets you bots and apathy. This is about building systems where making a real contribution is what unlocks status and gives you deeper access. It's a concept called engineered sharing, and it makes growth a natural side effect of a healthy community. Let's just pause on that term for a second, engineered sharing. All it means is that you're designing the community so that sharing becomes a natural part of being a valuable member. So when someone writes an amazing analysis and that gets them access to a private channel, they're way more likely to invite other smart people who can do the same. Suddenly, status and access become way more powerful incentives than a few tokens. And this flows right from that last point. You have to reward things that add value, not just things that pump up your member count. So stop rewarding people for just showing up. Instead, create bounties for killer content. Reward people who do deep dive research threads. Incentivize real, thoughtful participation in governance. The message you're sending is simple. If you help us build, you'll benefit right alongside us. And finally, and this is so important, you have to measure what actually matters. Seriously, forget about your total member count. You need to be looking at your DAU/MAU ratio. That's your daily active users versus your monthly active users. It tells you if people are sticking around. You need to look at conversation quality and what percentage of your members are actually participating with their wallets. This is how you take your community's pulse and know if it's truly healthy. This brings us to a really, really crucial idea. We have to learn to look past the big, shiny numbers that feel good to tweet about, but actually mean almost nothing. It's time to talk about the huge difference between vanity metrics and real metrics. And this table just lays it out perfectly. On one side, you have the vanity stuff, total members, Twitter followers. Looks great on a slide, but tells you nothing about the health of the community. Then, on the other side, you have the real metrics, that DAU/MAU ratio, the wallet participation, the actual depth of the conversations happening. This is the stuff that tells you if your community is actually alive. So you can spend all your time and money chasing this. 10,000 passive members. A big number. Looks really impressive on the surface, doesn't it? Or you can build this, 1,000 active believers. Yeah, it's a smaller number, but this is the group that's actually going to give you feedback, defend you on Twitter, and drive real, long-term value. Which one would you rather have? I think the answer is pretty obvious. And this all leads us to the final, and I think the most powerful idea in this whole blueprint. It's about completely reframing what a community even is. It's not a line item on your marketing budget. It's something much, much more important. Just let that one sink in for a minute. Your community isn't just a place you go to shill announcements. It is a value-generating engine for the entire protocol. A truly strong community provides liquidity, it governs the treasury, it creates marketing for you, it defends the protocol. It is a core part of your economic infrastructure, and you have to build it with that level of seriousness. So we'll leave you with this question to chew on. Take a hard look at the projects you're building, or the ones you're a part of. Is that community just a marketing channel designed for a quick hit of attention? Or is it a true economic engine architected for real, sustainable, long-term value? The answer to that question is going to define its entire future.
Subscribe and visit Web3 Newswire for visibility and credibility of your Web3 projects.